Have you ever stopped to think about what holds everything together? Our families, our friendships, our entire society. It is not just laws or buildings or money. At its very core, the glue is communication. It is the fundamental mechanism that allows us to build worlds together. Think about it for a moment. Communication is the loom upon which the entire fabric of our society is woven, thread by careful thread. In any group of people, whether it is a small team working on a project or a vast nation with millions of citizens, communication is so much more than just a tool for swapping information or sending emails back and forth. It is the very process that creates our shared identity and defines who we are as a collective. This process is what establishes our social norms, the unwritten rules we all follow. It is what enables us to take collective action and achieve things we could never accomplish alone. The relationship between communication, culture, and development is therefore deeply connected, a symbiotic loop where each element feeds and strengthens the others. Development, in its truest and broadest sense, is not just about economic growth or bigger profits. It is about the progressive enhancement of a society's or an organization's ability to reach its goals. Communication acts as the enabling infrastructure for development. Just as physical infrastructure enables the flow of goods, communication infrastructure enables the flow of ideas, knowledge, and trust. A society with poor communication infrastructure is one where development is stifled by misunderstanding, a lack of coordination, and an inability to build consensus. From a managerial perspective, an understanding of this interplay is critical. An organization is a microcosm of society, a cultural entity with its own values, rituals, and communication patterns. A manager's ability to lead, motivate, and drive development within their team is directly proportional to their ability to understand and navigate this cultural context. This chapter will explore the role of communication as the engine of culture and development. We will examine the challenges and opportunities presented by the coexistence of diverse cultural identities and conclude with an analysis of the unique and complex dynamics of the Indian paradigm. The modern business environment is characterized by an unprecedented level of intercultural interaction. Globalization, migration, and digital connectivity have created workplaces where individuals from vastly different cultural backgrounds must collaborate. This coexistence of different cultural identities presents both a significant opportunity for innovation and a substantial risk of miscommunication and conflict. Effective management in such an environment requires a high degree of cultural intelligence, CQ, the capability to function effectively in culturally diverse settings. To navigate this complexity, managers can draw upon several foundational theories: high context versus low context cultures, Edward T. Hall. High context cultures, for example Japan, many parts of India and the Middle East. Communication is often indirect, implicit, and relies heavily on a shared understanding of context, nonverbal cues, and relationships. Low context cultures, for example Germany, the United States, Scandinavia. Communication is explicit, direct, and relies on the literal meaning of words. The speaker is expected to convey their message clearly. A manager from a low-context culture who gives a direct, unvarnished critique to an employee from a high-context culture may be perceived as harsh and disrespectful. Conversely, a high-context employee's subtle, indirect no may be misinterpreted as a maybe by a low-context manager. Cultural dimensions theory, Geert Hofstede. This theory identifies several dimensions along which national cultures differ, including power distance, the extent to which less powerful members of a society accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. In high-power distance cultures, there is a greater deference to authority. In low-power distance cultures, communication is more consultative, individualism versus collectivism. Whether individuals are expected to take care of only themselves, individualism, or to act as members of a cohesive in-group, collectivism. Uncertainty avoidance. The degree to which a society feels threatened by ambiguous or unknown situations. Cultures with high uncertainty avoidance value clear rules and structured communication. Masculinity versus femininity. This dimension contrasts masculine values of assertiveness and competition with feminine values of modesty, cooperation, and quality of life. The coexistence of these diverse identities requires a proactive communication strategy. The Indian context presents a unique and highly complex paradigm for understanding the interplay of communication, culture, and development. India is not a monolithic cultural entity, but a vibrant mosaic of diverse linguistic, religious, regional, and social identities. This diversity is a source of immense strength and resilience, but it also creates specific challenges. High context and relational. Indian culture is predominantly high context. Business communication is often deeply embedded in personal relationships. The relationship frequently takes precedence over the transaction. Respect for hierarchy, high power distance. The concept of respect for elders and superiors is deeply ingrained. Junior employees may be hesitant to directly challenge or contradict a senior manager in a public forum. Polychronic approach to time. Unlike the monochronic one thing at a time approach, the Indian context is often polychronic, where multiple tasks and relationships are juggled simultaneously. Linguistic diversity. With 22 official languages and hundreds of dialects, linguistic diversity is a daily reality. While English often serves as a corporate lingua franca, regional languages are the primary mode of communication. The concept of jugaad, this term, often translated as frugal innovation or a clever hack, also represents a communication style. It is an adaptive, improvisational approach to problem solving. Generational cohorts as subcultures. Within a single Indian city, a manager may lead a team comprising multiple generational subcultures, each with its own distinct communication norms, Gen Y, Gen Z, and the upcoming Gen Alpha. Pop culture as a communication system. For younger generations in particular, pop culture, encompassing streaming series, music, internet trends, forms a powerful and rapidly evolving layer of shared context. A reference to a popular web series or a viral meme can function as a highly efficient communication shortcut. From pop reference to social movement, the line between entertainment and social action has blurred. A shared pop cultural moment, amplified by social media algorithms, can rapidly coalesce into a consumer movement or a social cause. Managerial implications in the Indian context. A manager operating in India must develop a high degree of situational and cultural awareness. They must learn to read the air and understand the unspoken subtext of a conversation. They need to balance the directness often required for business efficiency with the indirect, relational style necessary for building long-term trust. Furthermore, they must be attuned to the generational and pop cultural dynamics within their teams, adapting their communication style to bridge potential divides. Successfully navigating the Indian paradigm means embracing its complexity and learning to communicate effectively across its many coexisting cultural identities. So, where does this journey through communication, culture, and development leave us? We have seen that communication is not just a soft skill, it is the fundamental engine that powers everything. For you, as students of business communication and the leaders of tomorrow, the message is clear. Adaptability is your greatest asset. The era of a single, rigid communication style is over. Success in the 21st century requires you to be a cultural chameleon, capable of reading the room, decoding the context, and adjusting your approach in real time. It demands that you listen more than you speak, that you seek to understand before you seek to be understood, and that you approach every interaction with a sense of humility and genuine curiosity. This chapter has provided you with a map and a compass. Your task now is to go out into the world and use them. Observe, listen, learn, and practice. Build those bridges of understanding, one conversation at a time. Because in a world that is more connected yet more divided than ever, your ability to communicate effectively across cultures is not just a pathway to business success. It is a vital contribution to building a more collaborative, innovative, and connected global future for everyone.